My name is Jimmy Lyons. I'm the course director of basic recording and production here at Expression College of Digital Arts. I've been a musician since I was a little kid, and when I got out of school I moved to California. I started out as a live sound man, which I loved doing, and worked with many great artists: Jane's Addiction, Too Short, Dead Kennedys, Young MC, Primus, many times. The Loudness War is a phenomenon that's taking place presently in the music industry, and it's referred to as a war because there are some people that think it's fine and it's no problem, and there are other people that are very concerned about it and are sort of battling against its occurrence. What it is a reference to the tendency of music producers and mastering engineers to squash the dynamic range of music to the point where there are no longer points in songs where there's a louder moment and then a quieter moment and then a louder moment and then a quieter moment. I use the phrase dynamic range, and it's a very simple principle. It just means the difference between how loud something gets and how quiet something gets. And artists, musicians, songwriters have used louder moments in songs for emotional impact or to get some kind of response in their songwriting. So what you have now in the modern music era, especially in the modern pop music era, is music that is just the same volume all the way from the start to the finish of the song. The Loudness Wars, you could argue, have been happening forever. The 50s and the 60s, everybody wanted their records to be loud. They always wanted their records to be loud, whether it was 7-inch singles or LPs or whatever it was. They always wanted them to be loud. Oh. It's possible that music doesn't spend as much time in the foreground of an activity as it did in an earlier date. When it's in the foreground of an activity, it's okay if it has wildly dynamic moments in it, because even when it gets really quiet, you're still listening.
My name is Michael Romanowski, mastering engineer, chief of Michael Romanowski Mastering. I've been mastering records since 1994. Loudness is not a substitute for quality. It can't be, it never can be. The idea of loudness is what we're looking at here, is the idea that the dynamic range between the quietest sections and the loudest sections being minimized to the fact that it's indistinguishable. There are very few dynamics in between them. What happens is you're pushing the audio at the listener. As an artistic expression, what I believe people want would be something that pulls them in. Like you want people to be able to sort of being actively paying attention to the music, not being pushed back by it. Loudness also is kind of like making Lord of the Rings look good on this first and hoping it looks good on the big screen. I mean, that's kind of what we're trying to do, because we look at this as being what most people listen to their music, or a lot of people listen to their music on something, and they're worried about having quantity over quality. And by doing so, the only way to wow with quantity is to have it be really loud, but it's not quite the same subject. What happens when you start to limit the dynamic range, though, is that on top of the eardrums, and we're back to the physiological thing, is that you've got a waveform. So speakers push air. So what we're doing is we're capturing something, and then to get it back to what we're listening to, we're taking it and recreating air pressure. So putting it into a speaker that's now pushing and pulling, whether it be headphones or big speakers, it's doing this. It's going back and forth. Now that gets to our ears, and our eardrums do the same thing. We're taking that, we're absorbing that air pressure and turning it into electrical signal, which tells our brains, what it sounds like and how fast it is and all. But if we get rid of the dynamic range, instead of things doing this, they're starting to do this. That causes the muscles to tighten up, and that causes us to be fatigued, and that loses our attention span. We're starting to now not focus on content, but on relief, turning it down. and thinking that that's going to relax this waveform thing, but it doesn't. It's still just doing this, and our eardrums are still really vibrating. And so when you get rid of the dynamic range, you're doing lots of things to it, both physiologically and representation-wise.
Ladies and gentlemen, yes, sir. Let's do it.
If we're not grabbing the people with the art form and grabbing their attention with that, then it becomes something that has no value and we don't really care about it. And so again, the attention span of being able to focus in on what the artist has to say is totally gets gone. All we care about is, does it something I can dance to, or do I remember the lyrics in any kind of way? And that's all it is. But the care of what it takes to go into actually making a record is, I heard somebody say one time that the general public doesn't really need to know how records or sausage is made. And I disagree, actually. I was thinking about that not so long ago, that I think actually I wish the public knew what it took to make a record. They may appreciate it a little bit more, be able to dig into it a little bit more and kind of understand it. The idea of a loudness war, frankly, is ridiculous. A war, you're thinking, first of all, it's a competition. So somebody's trying to be louder than somebody else. And all they care about, and for a while I had people come in and, when I'm mastering a record, and I would at times get people who'd say, firstly, it needs to be loud, and then we'll worry about what it sounds like. And that's, wow, to me that's totally wrong. Like, you go through all of this to make a record. Writing, rehearsing, recording, capturing, mixing, re-recording, rewriting, remixing, all that. And then you're gonna put it through a meat grinder? I mean, it would be like, to me, the equivalent of saying, hey, I've got this organic farm, and I've got a restaurant for the farm, and we're gonna put all these nice ingredients together and create this really great meal. And as soon as the meal is done, I'm gonna put it in a blender and then hand it to the customer to drink. Does that make any sense? No, not really. I don't think, who would do that? But that's exactly what we're doing with this. I hope past the hump of where the peak of the Loudness Wars were, and let's just get back to, let's tone it down to an argument, and then maybe we'll just get down to a discussion, and then it just becomes a choice or a preference.